Unfortunately, the United Nations itself has failed to be the example of democracy throughout the world. Today, we have a situation in which a few countries of the world dominate the Security Council and make far-reaching decisions that lead to the death and humiliation of millions of people around the world without the input of the vast majority of the population of the world. It is indeed instructive that today, as Africa accounts for more than 52% of the total resources of the world, Africa has no voice on the UN Security Council. This is an anomaly which needs to be corrected with urgency. And I want to hope that all of us who are committed to peace, democracy, and international security will pay attention to the urgent need to democratize the UN system. Peoples all over the world, in Africa, in Asia, in South America, and so on, have expressed their opposition to the imposition of a blockade on the heroic people of Cuba over the years. And yet, only a few countries continue to insist and to back the United States of America to impose this blockade on the island nation of Cuba with disastrous consequences for the 11 million people of Cuba. Those sanctions are unjustified and must be lifted immediately. And it can only be done if the UN system is democratized. Coming back home, we have received all kinds of accolades about our own democratic experiment in Ghana. But I think it is clear that not all of our people are able to even speak up in defense of their rights. Not all of our people enjoy the fundamental rights that have been endorsed by the United Nations itself. We live in a country in which the rights of albinos have been trampled upon for many years. If you look at the continent generally, every time there's an election, albinos are in trouble. All kinds of ambitious people have come to believe that parts of the albino body can be used for rituals which can make them powerful and rich. And that puts albinos in grave danger in times of election and civil strife and so on. I think it's our duty to fight for the respect for the rights of people with albinism. You cannot have a democracy in which albinos are blatantly discriminated against. We are living in a society in which there is no doubt that women constitute the majority population. Women constitute about 51% of our population. And yet women are discriminated against when it comes to access to job and social services and so on. We must continuously fight for the rights of women to participate in the development efforts of our people as equal partners. Without that, we would not have democracy. Again, the rights of children have been abused over the years, and this becomes even more manifest in election times when underage children are paraded on television and on radio to sing the praises of the political actors against all norms of decency. The rights of children also need to be protected, and there are many other categories. The final point I want to make is that democracy ought to make meaning. Democracy should not just be about lining up every 4 years to go and put pieces of paper in a ballot box. That happens in countries which do not have democratic credentials. Putting papers in ballot boxes is not democracy. Democracy ought to be meaningful to our people. Democracy ought to create the conditions in which our people can have access to potable water. Democracy ought to improve the people's access to housing. Democracy ought to improve our judicial system and to give the people of this country confidence in our judicial system. Democracy must lead to improving education as an instrument of acquiring knowledge, preserving knowledge, and expanding the frontiers of knowledge in order that we'll be able to live in harmony with our environment. Democracy ought to improve, ought to lead to the improvement of national infrastructure. Indeed, democracy ought to create the conditions where all of us can work hand in hand to build that prosperous universe in which no child will go to bed on an empty stomach. That is our challenge. I'd like to thank you all for the opportunity which I've had this morning to express my views. If my views have not been palatable to all of you, I ask for forgiveness. But our world can only move forward in harmony, in peace, in security, if we begin to talk to each other frankly about the problems which confront us. And the problems which confront us are numerous. We are living in a country in which as much as 128% of total national revenue is expended on two line items: public sector emoluments and debt servicing. This is not a pleasant situation, and all of us have a duty to make it happen. And we can only contribute to make it happen if we live in an environment where everybody can express their views freely, without fear of harm, without fear of intimidation, without fear of losing their jobs. We can build that society together. Let us build that society. Thank you.